Well, hi everybody. Welcome to our webinar on volunteerism, on nature conservation, on vacation. A beautiful topic combining two worlds of nature protection and working in nature on this topic, as well as having a good time during your holidays. We're organizing this webinar as Eurosite and as working group on nature and recreation within Eurosite. For those who are not familiar with Eurosite, I give a short introduction. Eurosite is an association of nature management organizations, and the main goal of our association of Eurosite is to connect experts and experience from all over Europe, to exchange ideas, to exchange knowledge, and thus helping out the quality of management on different topics, and basically as practical as possible. So that's what we're aiming for. And one of the activities and social groups we have is we have 9 working groups, of which nature and recreation is one of them. And within this working group, we share different topics like monitoring, visitor management, quality of experience, involvement of citizens, etc. So that's also the reason why we organized this webinar. So again, a warm welcome to all of you, and a special welcome to Anne Schierenberg, who I will give the mic later on. But first of all, I would like Jim Leavitt also a welcome from our side, and please have the microphone for a short introduction from your side. Jim, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Theo. I have so much pleasure in joining a Eurosite meeting. I was just telling Theo offline that the ILCN, the International Land Conservation Network, of which Eurosite is a founding member, really, or a very early member, is reaching its 10th anniversary this year. And the ELCN and Eurosite and all of you have been such a critically important part of this global network because of your early entry and your excellent programming, like the programming that we have today. We're very proud to be affiliated with you. We welcome all of the learning that Europe is sharing with the rest of the world, and we look forward to many more years of collaboration with this network and with all of you across Europe. So with that, Theo, I will turn the microphone back to you, and I will listen intently to the proceedings today.
All right, Jim, thank you very much for these words and for this introduction of IUCN. And yes, the cooperation may last for a very long time, and it's good to celebrate the 10th the 10th anniversary this year. Looking forward to that. Well, having said that, I'd like to give the floor to Anne Schierenberg to give her a presentation on the projects she did on involving tourists and recreationists in nature conservation. So, Anne, please introduce yourself and take us with me on your journey.
All right, thank you. Yeah, my name is Anne Schierenberg. I work for the umbrella organization Nationale Naturlandschaften. It's an umbrella organization for large protected areas in Germany. And my function is called Head of Civic Engagement or Head of Volunteering. And I'm very glad to be invited to present one of our projects on the topic of volunteerism. That's quite a new subject for us. We had the chance to work on this topic for 4 years now. And with my presentation, I would like to give you an insight in our main activities in this project. Well, firstly, in the topics or the aims, and then the main activities, and then some lessons learned. And it's one of our aims of the project is the dissemination of our results and lessons learned. So this is a very good chance to do exactly this. Well, I have prepared this presentation, but I'm very open to any questions you would have during the presentation. So just raise your hand or type into the chat. I think Jennifer would have a look at all the questions or comments that might appear there. Don't hesitate to just ask if anything is not quite clear or if you have any other questions on details. All right, then I will start my presentation. Could somebody just give me a feedback if everything is okay?
Yeah, it is, Anne. It's a beautiful picture.
So these are our project partners, all the colleagues that worked on the project for the past years, but I will go into the details just in a few minutes. The title of the project is Volunteerism for Biodiversity in the National Natural Landscapes. The National Natural Landscapes, that is the name of our umbrella organization, and it's kind of umbrella name for our large-scale protected areas. And the national parks and the biosphere reserves and nature parks and wilderness areas belong to this group of national natural landscapes. Okay, this does not work at the moment. I just try to open the next. Oh, okay, now.
Yeah.
So starting with the topic of volunteerism, the question is, what is volunteerism? I would like to start with this general question. Volunteerism is a connection of volunteering for charitable causes and traveling. And as Theo said, we kind of combine two worlds. On the one hand, the volunteering with aspects like altruistic work, the wish to doing something good, and on the other hand, the aspect of traveling, of trips, of holiday trips, and with the focus on self-centered activities, relaxation, the wish to have simply to have fun, to experience something new, and these two worlds come together in volunteerism. A very short overview on the kind of main data of our project. It is a 4 years project, now almost at the end of the runtime. We started exactly with Corona in March 2020, so this was not an easy start with this touristic project. And firstly, the project was planned for a 3 years runtime, but we were able to prolong the project just for another year because we had these difficulties in the first years of the project that traveling was not that easy as thought when we wrote the application for this project. We had 7 partners in total in this project. We have 4 kind of pilot regions in Germany. These are 4 protected areas, different categories of protected areas. That was important for us. So to begin, on the left side, we have the Mittelelbe Biosphere Reserve as a project area. Our partner is not the administration, but a regional NGO. It's the Förder- und Landschaftspflegeverein. That's kind of a friends association in the Biosphere Reserve. Then another partner is the Müritz Nationalpark. Then we have the Südschwarzwald Nature Park, Southern Black Forest Nature Park, and the national park, the Woddensee National Park. And to be exactly, it's the part of in Schleswig-Holstein, so in the north of the Woddensee area. And our partner there is an NGO as well. It's called Schutzstation Wattenmeer. Then the two orange blocks, these were our touristic partners. It's on the one hand, it's Bundreisen, a tour operator with a focus on kind of sustainable touristic offers. And then Eco Camping, it's a network of camping sites Europe-wide, but with most of its members in Germany. And we ourselves, Nationale Naturlandschaften, as an NGO, we were kind of the lead partner of this project and organized and coordinated the project on the upper level. So next slide, it's somehow a bit slow. Okay. So first of all, some words about our objectives. As the project is financed in the Federal Biological Diversity Program, our objectives are, of course, in line of this funding program, and we have 5 main objectives. It's protecting and promoting biological diversity in the national natural landscapes through volunteerism. Then the second aim is raising awareness for biological diversity and increasing its appreciation. The third objective is strengthening volunteering, or let's say civic engagement for biological diversity and attracting more people to volunteer. The fourth objective is the expansion of economic models and offers with a positive impact on biological diversity. And the last one is then spreading our results and learnings nationwide, well, also international. And this is one of our actual activities to present our project outcomes to interested audience. Okay, coming to the volunteerism offers we have elaborated and tested in the framework of this project. We have different kind of formats or categories of volunteerism offers. On the one hand, we have short offers. These are 1-day or half-day offers free of charge for people who organize their vacation, their tour in a protected area by themselves, and they are interested to have kind of a day with practical activities and the possibility to get some insights into the protected area. The second category are group package tours. And these, of course, are not for free. They last for several days. Usually they last about 5 to 10 days. And they are offered by tour operators. And then we have a category, I've called them unsupervised volunteering. It's just one kind of pilot we started in the Müritz National Park to count birds and submit the data to the park administration. And this is an offer for tourists that can do this kind of volunteering by their own without a direct supervision. These volunteer offers, I will go in the details just in a second. We have presented these volunteer offers on a website. It's called Naturschutz im Urlaub. kind of conservation on holiday, more or less, is the meaning. And we have made the experience this name of the website was quite good understandable for our potential volunteers, volunteerists. Okay, now to give you some details on what we offered just in the past year, in 2023. As I said, we started in 2020. In the first year or half a year, our work concentrated on conceptual work, and beginning from 2021, we started to offer concrete volunteerism activities, and in 2023 it was our third year of experiencing. So having a look at the past year, the 1 day and half day offers were offered in the nature park Südschwarzwald. For example, biotop care, different types of activities in the forest for single animals, but in general more for biotops, as you can read in this small list. And then we have some activities in the Biosphere Reserve Mittelelbe as well. It was very practical work, caring for biotops and animals. And a very classical activity is planting trees. Probably everybody of you knows that planting trees is always the favorite activity of everybody who wants to do something in nature conservation. This is something that attracts people right away, and in comparison to activities that need explanation on site, for example, cutting trees, it's a quite attractive offer at the first step when you look for volunteerists. Now, coming to the other two project areas, the Müritz National Park had some 1 day or half day offers as well. These were also biotop care, scrap removal. This was kind of an exception, but it it worked with the volunteerists. And in the Schleswig-Holstein-Waddenzee National Park, we had clearing cranberry stalks, and this was a offer that was repeated at least 6 or 7 or 8 times during the autumn. So it's a steady offer that is bookable, or where you can participate over several weeks in the Waddenzee area. Okay, now coming to another format of volunteerism, it's the group package tours from Bund Reisen, our project partner. I will give you some details for you to learn about the durance, also to learn about the costs. And as you can see, it was about 6-day package tour. The price was about 855 euro for a person. And included in this 6-day tour, there were 2 half-day volunteering activities. Simple activities. No one had to be very experienced in nature conservation, and the other activities within the tour were classical touristic tours to museums, to the Dessau-Wörlitzer Gartenreich, that's the park landscape in the area of the Middle Elbe, and there were bike tours and boat tours. So it was a very diverse program in total. This tour was planned for only 8 people. It was booked up in the last year as well as in the years before. It was a very small group. That is a principle of Bundreisen. They offer tours for group sizes of 8 to about 15 or 16 people. So this was in line with their general concept, and as well it was planned together with our colleagues from the Biosphere Reserve, who said we just started with volunteerism and we want to make our experiences firstly with small groups to be a bit flexible, and further on they will probably work together with bigger groups because they feel quite experienced now. Bundreisen as well offered other destinations. It was the Müritz National Park in October last year. The length and the price was comparable with the offer in the Mittelelbe Biosphere Reserve, as well as the volunteering activity. We had a number of 7 participants. This was not booked up, but at least the group was large enough to run this tour. But we made the experience that finding a tourist for the Müritz National Park, somehow, to be honest, we don't really know why it was more difficult than to find booking tourists for the Biosphere Reserve at the Mittelelbe. Then we had another offer in the Waddensee National Park. It was a bit shorter. It was just a 4-day tour. It was a lot cheaper because the accommodation was quite simple. On the other hand, the volunteering parts were almost half of the total activities of this tour. So it was the general concept was a bit different to the first 2 tours I just explained. This tour was booked up with 16 participants, and for us it is obvious that the Waddensee National Park, as a very famous touristic destination, somehow attracts volunteerists kind of automatically. So it's a lot easier to find volunteerists for this new touristic offer, or maybe an offer that is not that known by tourists. Maybe they have the idea that they have to experience if this fits to their interests. It was a lot easier to find participants for this very famous touristic destination. Well, then another offer also in the Waddensee National Park. This was seminar house on the island Sylt, an academy that offers 1-week programs more in the field of health or of culture, and they decided to implement a week together with our project partner, the Schutzstation Wattenmeer, on the field nature conservation. And this was very successful. We had more people than places, 21 participants, although the program was planned for 20 participants, so it was very successful. The half-day volunteering programs, 3 in total, were in combination with guided walks, with presentations, with visits of museums. So it was kind of holistic program, and obviously this was attractive for our target group.
Anna, just a few short, questions. One is, could you give a few words on what you mean with the bird counts, voluntary work that has been done, and were also the meals included in these package deals?
Well, I will have a special slide for explaining the bird counting. Just a second, I will explain that more in detail. And referring to the meals, in the tours from Bundreisen, well, breakfast was included. The dinner was included partly, as well as lunch. So on the excursions and after the volunteering activities in the mornings, there was a picnic or lunch on site, and this was included. But the restaurant or going to a restaurant in the evening was kind of an option for the volunteers if they want to participate and if they want to eat a soup or an expensive meal. So it was up to them, but also they had to pay for this additionally to the price of the tour.
Yeah. Yes.
Well, I will now come to other volunteerism formats that were not planned from the beginning of the project, but they came up to us somehow. This first is volunteerism as part of educational leave. Actually, I'm not really sure if Germany is very special regarding educational leave. Just to explain the background, in Germany, in all except for Bavaria, I think, all of our Länder have the opportunity for employees to go on educational leave for a week per year. You have the option to participate in this educational leave as an extra leave additionally to your regular vacation. And there are operators or institutions that offer the educational leave that are kind of certificated for running these educational leaves. And we had a student at the Hochschule für nachhaltige Entwicklung in Eberswalde. It's a university in the north of Berlin, in Brandenburg. And a student worked on the question, can educational leave be combined with volunteerism? And you'll see the study that was elaborated by her, and we learned that yes, volunteering elements can be integrated in educational leave weeks under specific circumstances, but in general it's possible. And from then on, we cooperated with an institute that offers the educational leave weeks, and we realized 2 weeks, one in the Müritz National Park and one in the Southern Black Forest Nature Park, with participants of these 1 week educational leaves that worked on nature topics, and they were glad to help rangers with biotop care for half a day. And this was a program, instead of just learning all the topics in theory, they could learn the topics during the practical work. So this was a very good experience, as we know from the participants. Now, coming to the bird counting, our idea was to test a format how volunteerists can volunteer without being supervised at that moment. We had a brochure, it's called Vogelparadies Müritz, kind of paradise of birds in the Müritz National Park, count birds with us. And this is a very, very low level brochure presenting 12 of the most seen birds in the Müritz National Park, because we said we want to get tourists that are beginners in birding, and the experienced birders have other platforms and networks and so on. So we wanted to catch volunteerists who do their first steps in bird counting. And this brochure was distributed in touristic places in the Müritz National Park, like national park information centers, in the accommodations like hotels, and in boat rental stations and so on. This brochure has offers the possibility to either note the counted birds on the piece of paper of this brochure and send a photo to an email address, or to type the counted numbers of birds directly on a website. But our experience was that we hardly got any feedback. So we learned that this somehow we did something wrong with this idea. We guess that it's necessary to give more personal explanation while handing out this leaflet. So in touristic places in the national parks, there are hundreds of leaflets of everything that is attractive for tourists in this region. And probably it's important that that a national park staff, for example, explains to tourists just in a few words why it's important for the national park to have this data and this help of volunteers. So this is something that needs to be kind of done better in the next season. All right, coming to another chapter of our project, it's the public relation work. I will just give you a few examples on what we have done to promote our volunteerism tours and offers. So we had some advertisement placements in journals, in newspapers. We had articles and interviews in different outdoor magazines. We used social media as well, we as umbrella organization, as well as our project partners. And well, at the moment we are in the stage that we evaluate our project in detail, and unfortunately I cannot present you at the moment exact numbers of which kind of relation work was especially successful. But as we can assume at the moment, the print advertisement was not that successful as social media, for example. Also, the tourists from Bundreisen who, for example, traveled with Bundreisen a few years ago, and they are still in mailing lists, for example, this personal invitation and information on new tours that include volunteering. This is a effective way of public relation work. That's our experience so far. And also the regional network of tourist organization like Tourist Info points or destination management organizations in the regions of the protected areas. These are important partners to reach the potential volunteers. Two other examples, we have a 2 minutes clip, Naturschutz im Urlaub. That's an example how a volunteer activity with tourists can look like. It's using the example of oak planting in the Biosphere Reserve Mittelelbe. You can find it on our website, and it's without words, so it doesn't matter if you don't understand German, although the first slide is in German, of course, but the rest is just pictures. And I think it gives a good insight in that it's very much hands-on. The people have fun at the end. We have a picnic on site, and so it's yeah, it's something that can be a good or a special activity within a self-organized vacation in a protected area. So this clip shows a half-day volunteerism activity. We also tried to find volunteerists on camping sites, showing a video clip on camping sites, but our experience was that campsites are not that flexible, or they have other problems that are lead to the situation that they are not willing or able to support our work with public relation work on the camping site. This might be better in a few years, but the camping sites now had a lot of trouble with Corona and with missing staff and so on. We had the experience that it did not work that good. Okay, this is not meant to be readable in the in the small boxes. I just want to give you an overview about the fields of work we have done in the project. I just want to focus on the big boxes. As I said, we had 7 project partners, and our main fields of work were, on the one hand, the volunteerism offers, of course, the different types and formats of volunteerism. Then we had the on-site cooperation with partners, especially in cases of the group tours. Of course, they only work if you have good partners in the region. Then we have the field of public relation. And we have had a company that helped us to documentate and evaluate the project. As I said, we are not completely through this work of evaluation, but we will present the details and findings of the evaluation in the next few weeks. I would like to come to this blue part, the analysis and concepts and guidelines we have worked on in the past years, and I want to present them to you. They are a very new or recently finalized result of our project, and I can recommend our it's called Wissensplatform. It's an online service platform on the website of Nationale Naturlandschaften. It's called Fachwissen Voluntarismus, and we have compiled our results on this website for everybody who wants to get some inspiration, to get some concrete guidelines and help for establishing volunteerism. These guidelines and checklists and so on are available in German at the moment only. I'm sorry for that, but maybe there's a chance to translate them one day, or to adapt them to other organizations and then translate them in other languages. So I will focus on a few of these guidelines and I will start with this example. We have worked on a sample table for volunteerism planning, kind of a step-to-step table. I will give you an view in the inside of this table. So it's just a working tool where everybody who plans volunteerism activity can kind of make notes or plan step by step and get some hints on what to keep in mind or what to plan in detail. Then another brochure is this one. It's called Success Factors for Volunteerism in the National Natural Landscape. This is one of our core results. It's based on 3 or 4 years project experiences, and it's like this. It's a checklist that goes through the whole progress of planning and realizing a volunteerism activity, and then the work that needs to be afterwards. And it's a checklist that is well, useful as well for 1 or half day activities, as well as for group tours. So as you see in the first and second column, you can see quite at the beginning which type of volunteerism offer it counts on in the single field. And yeah, I won't go into the detail because it's simply too much, but I think it's a very precise and based on the field experiences, this guideline, and I hope it will be of good help for everybody who wants to start with volunteerism. Now, another brochure, it's called Good for Nature, Good for the Body, Tips for Body Conscious Work in the Field. This is a guide for protected area staff that leads a volunteerism activity, and assuming that the volunteerists are, on the one hand, they are not experienced in nature conservation work, and on the other hand, the volunteerists are often they are 50 plus, 60 plus, 70 plus, so you need to have a bit in mind that they are safe and the work is healthy for everybody. So this is a guide to help in the beginning to introduce the activity, to explain the way of using all the working tools, the hints on you have to drink enough, you have to avoid sun in the summertime, and you have to rest often enough. And as you can see on the photos, there are some advices how to do some small sport activities for warming your muscles, or afterwards for relaxing your muscles again. Now another brochure. It's we have a a title that maybe is a bit confusing. It's called Biodiversity Optimization of Volunteerism Offers. The idea of this brochure is that because we were funded by the biodiversity funding program in Germany, we wanted ourselves to establish volunteering activities that at the moment are, of course, are of use for biodiversity, but also the framework is biodiversity friendly. So we have worked on this brochure with aspects like mobility, coming to the place of activity, for example, or the aspect of accommodation. Then we have other aspects like education and information. And yeah, it was the idea to have a holistic a holistic work on biodiversity with our volunteerism offers, and help the volunteerists to understand that not only the planting a tree is something good for biodiversity and nature protection, but also the decision on how I move in my touristic region, or how the picnic looks like when we are on the site and doing our pause. So um, there are a lot of aspects explained that somehow have something to do with biodiversity. All right. This is coming soon. These are two other brochures we are still working on. From my point of view, these are interesting topics as well. On the one hand, a concept for voluntary roofers. Actually, I'm not really sure if this is a good expression, but the idea is that we would like to find people or companies or NGOs in the region of a protected area who are willing to give a room or a camping van or whatever to volunteerists, either without costs or with a small contribution by the volunteers, because we know that the interest in volunteering is high. The interesting by individuals, not families or groups, but the individuals that would like to spend several weeks or months in a protected area, but the costs for accommodation often the costs are often the main reason why the volunteers decide not to come, because in the touristic regions it's almost unaffordable to pay for accommodation for several weeks just for volunteering. And the second concept we are still working on is a concept for volunteerism with partner companies of the natural landscapes. The background is that in our German natural landscapes, we have a partner program. These are companies situated in or directly next to protected areas, and they support the aims of the protected areas and are in good cooperation and networks with the administration. And we think that some of these partner companies would be ideal for volunteerists, for example, farms, biological farms, or maybe also some educational institutions. They might be interested to involve volunteers, but always with the idea that the activity is orientated on the aims of the protected area, of course. But this is a concept. It's nothing that we have experienced by now, but we think this could be a way for the future to to widen our field, or the field of volunteerism. All right, this was kind of running through our project activities, and what we can offer at the moment on our website and in our brochures. I want to thank you for your attention, but also all the project partners you see on the screen, because this complex topic, volunteerism, is only manageable if you have good and active partners that like the idea of establishing something new, of experiencing something new. And so we were very glad to have this strong and a strong group of volunteer project partners. And I also, of course, I want to mention our funding. As I said, the project is funded in the Federal Biological Diversity Program with funds from the Federal Agency for Nature Conservation and the Federal Ministry for Environment. And we were very, very glad that we could apply for these funds, because otherwise we weren't able to realize this project.
Well, thank you very much, Anne, for a very interesting presentation on volunteerism. I love the word already. And in the meantime, we had a couple of questions coming in. First of all is a very obvious one. Do you have material and information on this in English? Or does it come up soon, or is it just in German?
Well, it's in German, and our funding is well, it's not enough to translate it in English. I cannot promise anything in terms of translation, but on the other hand, I would think it can't be too expensive. I mean, the contents of our brochures and the website are elaborated. It's simply the costs of translation now. Maybe in the future we will find some funds for translating it. On the other side, we are now able to use a lot of translation programs, and probably it's not too complicated to translate for the personal use the main contents of the brochures.
Anna, this is Jim Levitt. Theo, excuse me for jumping in, but I want to second that idea. I think what you've come up with is really very clever and could be used in many places around the world. It's not just limited to the EU. For example, a voluntary roofer is somebody who would go in and replace the roof on a house. And what you mean is a voluntary lodging provider or something like that.
Exactly, yeah.
But I think that there are lots of great applications for what you have suggested, and perhaps for international exchanges where young people come to voluntary programs in North America from Germany, and from Germany the other way around, from North America there and to Australia and to South America. I think this is a really well-designed, well-thought-out program. There are lots of volunteer programs like this, but you've not surprisingly done a very careful job. So even by using Google Translate or something like that, if you could translate with all the beautiful visuals you have, what you've got into English, I think Eurosite, among others, could use that not only for volunteerism, but perhaps for structured educational programs. I mean, you're only one step away from a certificate of some kind with many of the things that you're talking about.
Okay, maybe I can just add one thought. As you said, this volunteerism is a worldwide opportunity. That we started this project because Germany is a kind of less developed country in volunteerism. We knew that there are volunteerism offers in nature conservation worldwide, but there are hardly any offers in Germany. And we said, well, especially with the idea that we want to shorten the need of mobility, for example, we want to have some offers in Germany where the people don't need to fly to Costa Rica to help some, I don't know what kind of animals, but they can also find attractive offers of volunteerism in the Waddensee area, for example, or in the Black Forest. So this we knew Germany is a developing country.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, but the exciting thing is, not surprisingly for a German organization, you've done this very meticulously and methodically. And so I think a lot of people could gain from your documentation of all of this, and the stretching exercises that you offer, and all of those things are very helpful, small parts that add up to a large product that's very nice.
Yeah, yeah, I agree with you, Jim. We should see and if we can find some money to have this translated and also broadcasted all over the world, so to say. We have participants from Brazil in the audience now, and they are really thankful for the presentation, and they also reacted. They got good ideas and to replicate them in Brazil. So well, the process is of dissemination is already starting, and we should serve that. And related to this, there's another question: is that does volunteerism also incorporate or takes place in private nature reserves in Germany? Do you know that, Anne?
No, as far as I am informed, no, but why not? I mean, it's absolutely a part of the big idea that nature conservation is strengthened by a lot of helping hands, and people are involved in nature conservation and learn about nature and biodiversity. So I think there's hardly any difference between private or public protected
Yeah.
areas.
Yeah. And another very practical question is there a plan D in case of bad weather?
Yeah. Well, weather is a bit tricky in this volunteering or volunteerism. Well, it starts with giving good information beforehand that the volunteerists don't appear with sandals, but they appear with good boots and a rain jacket in case of rain forecast. And then it ends by the option that a volunteer activity needs to be postponed because the weather is either too wet or even dangerous. And this is something that you have to deal with in the volunteerism program. And we had experiences with 1 day or half day activities that needed to decide 1 day beforehand that they could not realize this activity and had to postpone it just for example, a week later. And in case of the tours that last for several days, the tour operators always had in mind that they might have to change some program elements and realize the volunteering elements on days where it's not too hard for the volunteers to participate. If the weather is really bad and the activity takes place, we have made the experience that it's good to kind of keep an eye on the participants and ask them kind of, by the way, if they feel good, if they still feel good during the work in the rain or whatever. And if, for example, a third of the group says it's not any fun anymore, then the group leader would decide to to stop the activity and get the people inside. So you have to be quite flexible instead of bad weather, but that's nature. I mean, it's something that we cannot plan weeks and months beforehand.
Yeah, no, I agree. I'm living in the same part of the world, so I'm quite familiar with these circumstances. Anita Prosser says hi to you, and she also says, well, volunteering work is already happening in the UK for quite a long time. That's something you're aware of. 1995, 59, I'd say. That's when the conservation volunteers were starting in UK. And she also asked the question how you train the leaders of the group in terms of people management and quality of work to deliver.
Did I get the question right? How we choose the leading staff?
No, well, how you train them, how you...
Oh, how to train them. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, this was no problem in the framework of our project because we had our project partners. This was protected area staff or experienced tour operator staff. So there was no problem in finding good people for the tours. But in general, yes, you have to make sure that the people ideally are living in the region because they can explain the region to the tourists better than external group leaders, and they need to have security, how's it called, a security license for first aid education and so on. So there are some aspects that are generally important for this staff.
Yeah. Okay. And well, we got some more questions coming in. So and another question is, considering your experiences, what would be better, if you can call it that way? I mean, what to focus on local volunteers or just to get these tourism volunteers to work in your natural area? What do you think?
Well, as I work in both fields, on the local volunteers and now in the subject of volunteerism, I think we are talking about two different types and qualities of volunteering. Both makes sense. We reach different target groups that people are or that it's nice for people going on vacation and on trips is natural, and to give them a chance to just to not only consume a landscape or to involve them in the practical work of a landscape. I think it's this aspect of for tourism is something that you cannot compare with the daily work of volunteers that are engaged in their daily surrounding.
Yeah, I think they're both valuable for giving them a place and letting them do some work. That's great. And besides that, well, also many compliments are coming in, and so I'll give you them in this way. Another invitation for you is by Hernan Alonso to join the next ILCN Global Congress in Quebec in October, where volunteerism is one of the topics. So that's something to put in your agenda already. Well, let's see. This is a last question by Cherry Garcia from Ecuador. How would you apply such a program in a tropical forest where, for instance, reforestation is not needed?
Okay, so the question is which types of activities are applicable for these? Well, I'm not that into the conservation activities in the tropical forest, so I can only talk about our experiences that, as I said before, planting trees is always very attractive for volunteers and volunteerists. But if you have the chance to explain just a few words on why other activities are important as well, then the people understand that cutting trees, for example, or mowing a meadow, or building footpaths or whatever is it does make sense as well. But you need some time and simple words and simple explanations to reach and to convince normal people who are not into the subject of conservation work.
Yeah, I can imagine. I can imagine. And well, one of the things you mentioned in your presentation was that the reputation of a the natural area, National Park Wadensee, for example, has a much higher ranking than other natural areas, which sounds logical. Another question from Teresa Gamito from Montes. She's asking, well, what type of work or effort do people prefer to put in a natural area? Do you have a picture of that?
Well, activities that are fun are activities where you see a difference after working for a few hours. This is something that the volunteers really like, that they can look back on their kind of day work after a few hours and see a difference to how the place looked before. And it's hardly any difference if you, as I said, plant trees or cut trees. The important is that they see that they have practically done something, and this is leads to good feeling after doing hard work. Yeah, I would think this is one of the most important aspects.
Yeah, I can imagine. That gives a good feeling, seeing what you've done the last couple of hours, and then going home with this red blush on your skin and willing to drink a beer or something.
Well, in this context, we have made the experience that it's important to plan an activity in realistically. For example, if you have a group of 15 people, you should plan beforehand if how big the site is you will be able to work on to achieve results on this site. So if this group of 15 people tries to work on for example, a huge area, and after 3 hours there's hardly any difference seen, this is not motivating the people to repeat their engagement. But if you say that our aim for today is to work on this field, and I think we can finish our work after 3 or 4 hours, and the group achieves this goal. This is this is motivating, and leads to this good feeling that we have reached the aim of the day.
I can imagine. And related to this, do you also have a sort of a after sales program, so to say? Do you keep track of those who are volunteering, and do you send them extra information on how your site is developing thanks to the input of these volunteers?
Well, at the moment, it's just a short-term kind of feedback that after a day or half-day activity, the participants receive an email with a thank you and some photos of the day, just for remembrance. But for the future, we would like to establish a more long-lasting relationship with the volunteers, and we would like to have the possibility to inform them about upcoming events, but it's not established yet.
Yeah, I can imagine. Another question is about the citizen science model. Do you use it, and do you have also scientists involved in enriching the volunteer experience?
Well, this was the example with the bird counting in the Müritz National Park. This was very, very low level, but kind of a beginner's program. As I said, it did not work as we expected it to work, but in general, we think that citizen science activities, of course, could be a part of a volunteerism program.
Yeah, I think so. Well, and another question is from Argentina, from Marina Hartenek. She's working there on a private reserve network, and she's asking whether the international volunteerism would be interesting to develop, and also to have volunteers come to Argentina. What do you think?
Well, in general, this kind of corporations are always interesting for us as umbrella organization. In the framework of this volunteerism project, as I just presented, our main aim was to establish volunteerism activities in Germany, as they hardly didn't exist before. So we said it's in the sense of biological diversity and nature protection if traveling is short without using flights. And I think that sticking to this idea is somehow consequent, but I wouldn't say that international volunteerism should not take part. It always depends on how long volunteerism takes place. If it's a long-term volunteerism, I would say that the effort of traveling and flying to another continent is in a good kind of balance with the results of the volunteering. But if it's just a short-term volunteering in other countries, especially in other continents, I would say that in looking at nature conservation and the biological diversity, we need to be honest and ask ourselves how the impact is of traveling and helping on site.
Yeah, that's also related to your holistic approach you also have on your project, saying that it's not only helping diversity directly, by planting trees or whatever, but it's also related to transportation, to accommodation, to everything. So yes, I can understand that answer perfectly. From Kazimir Rabski from Poland says that it should be a good idea to have a sort of wrap up of your daily activity, maybe with a resume, and he's asking to offer a drink as part of the experience. But his question also is can volunteerism take place in all sorts of ecosystems, or does it have a concentration on certain types of biotopes, by ecosystems?
Well, it's the easiest to run volunteerism activities on biotopes that need human activities. I mean, a wilderness area where you keep your hands off. I mean, there is not a lot to do for volunteerists. Maybe installing a few, I don't know, information boards or working on a small, I don't know, bridge or whatever you need to pass through the area. But in general, our biosphere reserves and the nature parks are well, better places for volunteering because human activities are especially foreseen in these areas in comparison to national parks and wilderness areas.
Yeah, yeah. Well, thank you. And a last question that came in and is about the involvement of companies and businesses who could send their employees. I think that was part of your educational program, that was meant for employees who could have a educational leave for a week or so. But it's well, maybe it's maybe that could be developed and
Yeah, this aspect of corporate volunteering is kind of a subtopic of volunteerism, and we have, well, quite a few experiences with companies who invite their employees for 1 to 3 days to volunteer as a team. If they volunteer right in front of their company, I wouldn't call it volunteerism, but if they volunteer in the framework of well, overnight stay and experiencing region outside of their daily surrounding or their living place, I would say it's one format of volunteerism, and we have made the experience that that companies are willing to pay for this type of volunteering. So they pay for the overall organization, for costs like the picnic on site, the working gloves, or other working tools, and it's a type of volunteerism that is can I say self-funded. So we have some income by organizing these events for companies, and it's the companies understand that it's not for free, this offer.
yeah. No, that's and the background of this question also was that, for example, in France, there is this tax scheme that companies can offer this employee work or do this voluntarily work, and with this donation they also get a tax deduction. So that's helpful. And a very last question, extended question of Kazimir Rapsky is that do you also have a program in which your volunteers do understand the well, you know, the local ecosystem that they're working in? Is that also part of your you know, well, the offers you do?
So if they get some explanation on the general aims of the protected areas, is it?
Yeah, well,
like that?
and how that is related to the work they're doing.
Well, ideally they get information and explanation that that explain their practical work in the big context of the ecosystem or the protected areas, but it always depends on the one hand on the durance of the whole activity. I mean, if you have a group that spends a 1 week activity, somehow you have a lot of opportunities to explain the big framework or the details of the ecosystem. If you have a group just for 3 or 4 hours, you have to shorten your explanation to the well, the instruction how to work for the next few hours. But of course, we want them to learn something. We want them to understand the reason why work in the ecosystem is necessary and also successful if it's done regularly. And well, I think the main question is how to explain it in a way that people understand it that are not specialists, but they just interested people, and to find the right words to make them curious. In the best case, they want to know more afterwards, and it depends on the leading staff of the activities.
Yeah. Well, you at least have them very motivated in the field doing the work for you, so they have a very strong connection at that moment with your with your natural side, so to say. So, well, so far I think this is the moment for a wrap up and the moment for the digital flowers, so to say. But thank you very much for giving this presentation and explaining in detail all of the experiences you had doing this project. I think it is a very it has been a very interesting project to be explained in for a wider audience. We'll keep in touch to see whether we can come up with an English interpretation, English translation of the information, because there certainly is interest for sharing your knowledge and experience well to a lot of people. But thanks a lot for everything, and thanks Jim for joining us also, and thanks to Carolina and for Jennifer for doing the work behind the screens and keeping everything in a very smooth flow during this presentation. Thanks all. Thank you for all the participants who joined us for this meeting. I hope you've got your inspirations from out of it. Well, if you have any questions, please do get a hold of us, and we'll try to get the English translations and send them around to all those who have joined us for this webinar. Well, thanks all of you.
Yeah, thank you for the invitation.
Thank you, Anne.
Thank you, and have a nice day.
Yeah, have a nice day.